Hello. I guess I am live. Are my headphones on? No. Okay, cool. So maybe you can hear me, which would be great. So this is a 100% half-baked plan to go live today. And of course, in proper Laura fashion, I'm not actually prepared to do it yet. So you're gonna walk around with me for a little bit while I get ready to make kongs, and then we're gonna talk about some dog stuff. Starting with my problem that I'm having right now, which is I actually have a few available. So I have to make a bunch of kongs because basically I'm going out of the country and I'm having someone watch my dogs. And basically I need to have enough kongs for over a week of travel. So, you know, 4 just isn't gonna cut it. I should probably put like headphones in or something. This whole walking around with this is challenging. Okay, close that with my knee. We'll go outside. We'll get the dogs a couple kongs because it is nice out here in Connecticut. All right, you wanna go to place, girl? Go, girl. So she'll eat her kong on a place, but he definitely won't. So we'll give him that. They can have a little snack while I make some more. And while I'm kind of setting stuff up here, why don't you guys let me know what where you're tuning in from, and if you're a service dog person, let me know that. I have this that I can put my thing on. Oh, we need the bucket too. Colorado Springs. I love Colorado Springs. That's where my second van was from when I used to have my van from Wayfair Vans down there. And I love Garden of the Gods. It's like one of my favorite parks all time for sure. Okay, I'm going to attempt to put this on a thing so I don't need to hold it, and then have that thing not fall over, which I also didn't really, okay, that kind of works, all right? Yeah, that works. Okay, Bay Area, California. Awesome, Utah. Oh my gosh. I feel like I might be getting old because I feel like this text is so small, and I think that's the first time I've ever said that. Oh my gosh. All right, so we need to get rid of these. I also took the meat out, but did not take it out for long enough. So it's soaking a little bit in some water to get it a little less freezing on my hands. Let's see, we got a Belgian Malinois, Eastern Idaho, awesome. Okay, I need a second container for these kongs. I'm not 100% sure where to get that from. So basically, I wanted to try this new live streaming feature that YouTube had because it's totally new to be able to do this like up and down style live streaming. And, like, some people might have done something less complicated for that, but you know, we are where we are. Okay, so now we're gonna grab like a topper of some sort. Those are training treats. What else I got? Oh, these will be good. Okay. Self-training a service dog, British Columbia. Awesome. Okay, so we've got a topper. We've got some raw meat. Definitely can't make our things stand up. Yay, there we go. We'll put these in here for now. Now, before we get started, just want to say I'm not a veterinary nutritionist, so I feed my dogs a certain thing. You do not have to do what I'm doing, and you should consult with a professional for your dog's nutritional needs. Cool. That out of the way, then I will tell you what I'm putting in the kongs. Okay. Voila. Could have cleaned my kitchen before too. There are a lot of things I could have done. Okay. Connecticut, yeah. That's where I am right now. Okay, so meat is disgusting. So I feed my dogs. I feed my dogs raw meat, but I don't eat meat, and I find it to be icky. So I wear gloves when I do this, so that I don't have to touch the meat. Just because I think it's gross, and this is what makes it so that I'm able to do what I need to do. I do have a plan for what I want to chat about here, but I need to like get into the making of these things first. And if this does not work, I will abandon the making kong plan and just to it later. All right, so the meat that I use for raw, I do a bunch of different things, but what I'm using today is Almost, let me see if you can see that, Almost Pride. It's a local company that's literally 10 minutes from my house that I can get meat from. So it's a chicky and veggie mix. And then on top of it, I'm going to put some of these Healthy Bud turkey and meat liver treats, gut boosters, just for something to get them interesting. I'm finding as Jake gets older, so those of you that are new, Jake is my older cattle dog. He's like 14 and a half. I forgot something. He isn't like getting to like as interested in the Kongs as he used to be. So that means that I'm going to have to switch it up a little bit, something like that. But, you know, for now, this is what we're doing. And I'd love to say that I'm like all of those cool, like Instagram people that are making like beautiful parfaits for their dog. I'm not. I am pretty much putting raw meat in there, and because they enjoy it, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I switched the protein up, but that's pretty much it. Okay, now I'm going to attempt to carry, I just want to show you this. This is my thing of Kongs. And now I'm going to attempt to carry, I think I'm going to have to put you down. Okay, I'm going to put you down over here. I'm going to grab my Kongs and then come back, or else I'm going to drop Kongs everywhere, and that won't be fun for me. All right, hold one sec. Okay. So this is my box of Kongs and other things that we can stuff. And yeah, I've been doing this a long time, so I just kind of buy them whenever they're on sale. Sometimes Chewy has a sale around Thanksgiving, so I buy a bunch. Do they get their full meal in a Kong? No. So they used to get the majority of their meals in Kongs and also Topples, because Topples are bigger, so you can feed more. But I actually, like for me, it's really important that they have the ability to eat a kibble and a freeze-dried raw as well, because I'm on the road all the time and I can't always bring enough raw to be able to sustain. Like in October, I was out for 2 months. I can't bring enough raw food, or I choose not to bring enough raw food to sustain like a full raw feeding thing for that long. So they are on a kibble and a freeze-dried raw as well. So usually I use the Kongs as like a supplement activity for the afternoon, especially if I have like a long day where I'm not going to be able to work them very much, like today, because I'm preparing to go to Paris tomorrow. So I just have a bunch of stuff that I have to get done. And so, you know, they're outside with their Kongs now, and it's a beautiful day here. So good day for them. All right, so we got our Kongs, we have our meat, we have our gloves. I'm definitely gonna have to sterilize my my screen if I touch it after this. Okay, I absolutely wish I could afford to feed my dog raw full time. Might start doing it once a week or so. Yeah, so I like to use the raw meat, you know, for a supplemental thing. I also do like, let me show you my little liver things. So I have these like, oh, you can't see it because it's like freezer bird, but these little liver treat things that I make. So they're like little paws with organ meat in them, and then these like circles. Okay, I might not have closed the container well, so they're a little freezer burn. I promise I just made these. Anyway, I feed the little circle ones in these. These are they're made by Woof or My Woof or something. So I get like organ meat, just like a little bit for them, and throw it in there. And that's another really good treat. And part of the other reason that I feed both a kibble and a dehydrated raw is I don't have the knowledge and or ability to want to fully feed raw and to do it well. So that's part of it. Freeze dried is so convenient. Yeah, totally. Let's see. All right. Okay, so I'm not going to take questions yet because I do have something that I want to talk about, but I think we're ready to actually start making Kongs. So if you were on my live stream, let's see, I think it was my deep dive that that I did last week for Patreon, you will have noticed that I was super like discombobulated at the beginning of it, right? So I was like having a hard time getting everything together, and me having a hard time getting it together I was thinking about it the other day because it's frustrating when that happens. And I was thinking about it and how our dogs learn. So let me tell you what was happening while my live stream had started. So it's 11 o'clock. My live stream is just about to start. And at that exact same time, the oil guy comes. Now, the oil guy in the past has come into our yard with dogs in the yard. They have come in and left the door open, the gate open, because our oil tank is in the back. And so it's 11 o'clock, my live stream has started, and at the exact same time, my brain is going, oh my gosh, are the dogs outside? Is the gate closed? Is he gonna come in and the dogs are gonna bark? Whatever. I mean, Jake doesn't bark, but just nobody wants to be greeted by a dog they don't know. Then I realize that Whip is here, and she starts going to the window. Now, Whip barks in my house if someone comes up the driveway. I have a very long driveway, and I live in the woods. I do not want to discourage that behavior. That is a liked behavior in my house. So basically, I've got all of this stuff going on, and I'm starting a live stream. And on top of that, my live stream, I have to put up some video. So I've got like multiple screens going on, and I just feel totally just out of sorts, right? Like I can't get everything together. And then my husband comes in because the person comes to the door and they're ringing the doorbell. And because our basement is being turned into a dog training, like a new studio for me, the doorbell isn't working. So now they're coming to the door. So now I've got a person, coming to the door, the dogs, the oil company, and I'm starting going on a live. And so for all of that, I'm not doing a good job, right? I'm slow, my latency is high, and I'm having a difficult time getting everything I need done and getting words, which is already hard in the first place, right? So I think about that when we think about our dogs and what we ask them to do under very difficult circumstances. And their circumstances are not necessarily what mine are, right? Like their circumstances might be that there's this like amazing like scent next to them at the park, or there's a squirrel running and now a kid has shown up, and we're still asking them to perform a behavior. And if we don't teach them how to work under that difficult environment, then we're not gonna have a dog that can be able to perform. Because if all of those things happen regularly, right? So say I'm like in a call center and people are talking all the time and there's stuff going in and out, I would start getting used to having to perform under that particular set of circumstances. So I would essentially get better and better at performing under difficult circumstances. However, without any practice, I'm totally incapable and I look like I don't know what I'm doing. Right? So basically what I just wanted to point out there is that we ask a lot of our dogs to be able to work under distractions. We need to give them a ton of practice under those distractions and in a lesser version of those distractions so they can get better at what they do when all that stuff is going on. Because it's unreasonable to think that if they could do it at home, right? Like I can run a live at home mostly, right? And with no distraction, fine. As soon as you start heaping things on, my brain goes a little all over the place and I'm slower to respond. And that's what happens with our dogs too. So we want to think about how, like, almost like we're asking them to multitask, like to observe the environment and do a thing. And that's hard to do. So we have to actually prepare for it. So, anyways, that was just like a thought that I had, and basically a reason to get on a live with you all and test out this new platform. So let me see if anybody said something. My mom likes to buy chicken feet and dry them out. Yeah, I like to use raw chicken feet too. Let's see, instead of giving them questionable bones, my other half keeps them in the freezer till there's enough bone broth for them. Cool, that's awesome. Yeah, and you'll see me using bones in videos. I don't use them with Jake because he's a hard chewer, but I do use them with Whip, who tends to just rip the skin off and lick the fat out of them. You have to know your dog because they can absolutely cause fracturing of the back teeth if they chew on them super hard. So just something to consider when you see that. That's why I put a disclaimer in that most recent video, because they're not the right choice for everybody. And that's also why I use a lot of these. This is Jake can have these, he can have topples. I finally managed to catch one of your lives from the UK. Yay! I can't believe you juggle all that technology plus dogs. Great observation, So Maureen, if I had known that I was going to have somebody coming to the door and do the technology thing, I could have managed my dogs better, right? Like, so I could have put them in crates with Kongs. Now, I typically have no issue with them being out while I'm live. Pretty much, if you see me live, Whip and Jake are laying on the floor there most of the time because they just enjoy being in the same room with me. They don't cause any issues. Occasionally, like, me talking to the computer has become a I'm not available for reinforcement cue for them. So it makes it pretty easy for me to do most things live. But that doesn't mean that if the UPS driver came up the sidewalk that she wouldn't bark if you could see her out the window. But I think it's also good to, know that your trainers, the people that you are following online, they're all human. Their dogs bark at home. They do things that you wouldn't want your dogs to do, just like your dogs do things that I wouldn't want my dogs to do. And that's fine. Whatever you can tolerate, like what's good for you, is fine. We don't all have to have the same standards for what's acceptable home behavior. I want my dog to bark in the house. I live in the middle of nowhere and I need to know, like she has saved me more than once from a bear in my backyard. I feel really confident having her barking when somebody comes up the driveway. That would be completely unacceptable in an apartment if, my neighbors are having to listen to my dog every time somebody walks by the building, right? Different circumstances, so different requirements for our dogs. Okay, no guilt for having young kids anymore. Can't. Agreed. I have a client that did a ton of practice with a ton of distractions, but was always alone and not talking to anyone. So now he always thinks he's off duty when he's out with someone else. Yeah, it's funny. You have to practice in the scenario that you need it. I have one client, I don't take clients anymore because, like, when would I have time to do that? But I do have existing clients, a couple that I'm finishing up with, and one of them is online. And one of the things that he does that I really love is he uses the Rover app, not for pet sitting, but he will hire people to come help train with him. So whatever it is he needs to do to practice, he's going to hire essentially a stranger to the dog, right? And practice whatever that thing is. So instead of having to rely on, and obviously this is a privilege thing, right? To have enough money to be able to do that. But if you're in the circumstance where you can hire a stranger to come work at your house, right? What a great opportunity. Or to work out in public. He's doing some stuff with, some of the pet sitters or the Rover people have dogs. So he'll just work on settling near dogs or walking near other dogs that his dog has never met before. And you've got this captive audience to be able to practice stuff on. And they're usually pretty amicable to doing that because, it's a lot easier job for a lot of people to, just kind of hang out with their dog while you practice training, right? So that's an option for practicing if you don't have a friend or family member that's easy to practice with. And let's be honest, when you're training your service dog and you've got family members in the house, of course they're happy to help most of the time, but sometimes it's like, they're over it. Like, I think they just would like to not train dog stuff. And I get that, it's this like obsession, like training your own service dog or just dogs in general is like this one track obsession, and it can get all consuming. And sometimes other people don't share your special interest, right? So we have to allow for that. All right, I'm gonna read some more comments before my hands get gross. Wait, oh, you're on a wait list for a service dog. Awesome. My first live stream, yay. My dog barking is nothing compared to my bird. That's really funny. Yeah, the birds, man. That's a good idea. Yeah, the Rover idea, I really love that idea. This client is very outside of the box thinker, and I really, really love that. It works so well. So let's see. Oh, there's another thing I wanted to talk about too, and that was about management versus training stuff. So I have a pet sitter coming to my house. That's my preference for when I do have to leave the dogs. I'm not a kennel person. My dogs aren't going to do well in a kennel. And because my dogs can be dog selective in the house with other dogs, especially Jake, it's just easier for them to maintain a routine and make sure he doesn't have to go up and down stairs and all that sort of thing. So I wanted to talk about this thing that I do that is completely management, and that's okay. So at my slider door, so you saw me at the beginning if you were here, walking out my slider to my dogs. And when my dogs go outside, Jake will, if he goes outside first, he will herd whip. Okay, so he's going to make it like, so if she comes out, he's going to chase her. She does not like that because she's a sensitive herding dog. So what are my options? I could train it, right? Like I could train him to go do something else, right? Like that when he goes outside, he goes and touches the target outside and lets her go now. That's an option. That seems like a lot of work, right? What's another option? Well, another option is to train them to go to a platform and to release each one on cue. Now, they are actually trained to do that, and I can do that. But functionally, I have people come to my house and especially let Jake out. You know, Whip's typically with me, so it's not as much of an issue. But occasionally it comes up where someone's going to come to my house and they're going to have to let both my dogs out. Now, I need to give them an easy protocol that I can maintain for letting them out to make sure that Jake gets let out second and Whip gets let out first. So what do? I have a jar of non-perishable treats by the door. It's right there, easy peasy. And then I take, say, I don't know, 4 treats usually. I go to my door, I open my door, both my dogs sit and wait at the door. I feed Whip 2 of those treats, and then I release her outside. I feed Jake 2 of those treats, I release him outside, and then they both run to their potty area and go to the bathroom. It's 0 effort, right? It's management, right? It's like very, very little effort on my part. They know the drill, but more importantly, it's replicable. Anybody who walks into this house can take 4 treats, have my dog sit at a door, and release them by name one at a time, right? So when we think about training versus management, sometimes the training part is just not worth it. There are some things that I will definitely train, and there are some things that management, you know, is better for. Now, what we do have to worry about is management failing, right? The things that I tend to manage are things that if they failed would not be harmful or dangerous. So what happens if management fails? What happens if Jake gets out the door first? Nothing. Whip's not going to go out the door. The person can either recall him back inside, throw some food on the ground, whatever. The thing that happens if the management fails is non-catastrophic. When we're talking about management for when there could be like a catastrophic incident, so I'm thinking, you know, aggressive, reactive, or activity type cases, then we want to have backup plans. We want to work on our training, and we want to have multiple ways to manage the dog so that if one management item fails, you've still got more in place. So that's my one caveat about management. Okay. Let me see what people I did want to owner train, but unable to find any good trainers in my area to also help me pick out a puppy. So I'm glad I could find a good charity. Yeah, that's great. If you can get a trained dog, you know, owner training is hard and time consuming and money consuming and energy consuming. So if you can get a fully trained, nice dog, that's almost always a better option, to be honest. Easily startled dogs. So it really depends kind of what they're startled by. But one thing is teaching them that weird things are going to happen. Actually, Ken Ramirez has a great, I don't know if it's a talk or I've seen one of his talks where he works, for instance, and I have to open the other package and it's yucky. So he works with a person, he works with a donkey and teaches the donkey about cooperative care. So the donkey is going to get touched, and it doesn't matter what the donkey is touched with, it's that the donkey learns that it's going to get touched with something weird. And so it basically stops having a startle response to being touched because it has generalized the touching stuff. Now I'm probably butchering and simplifying his thing, so you should check out him doing his own talk on it. That would probably be a better option. But you really, you know, one thing, if you're talking about service dogs, some service dogs are not going to be, they have a naturally high startle response, and they're not going to be happy doing service dog work because startling things happen all the time. But most dogs, you can make a dent in that by both observation, so getting them out to just watch things with no expectation, and then teaching them that weird things is going to happen. Okay, just hopped on. What are you filling the Kongs with? Gross meat. No, sorry, Omas, I don't mean your meat is gross. Your meat's great. My dogs love it. I think it's gross. So it's from Oma's Pride. This recipe is a chicken and veggie recipe. So I'm filling them with that, and I'm gonna put a little topper on them. Sometimes I put like little, like the dried duck feet and stuff. I'll stick those out of the top of them so they're sticking out. But I don't have enough, because we're renovating the basement and turning it into a training center. I don't have my freezer easily available, so I have everything in my tiny freezer. So I have much more limited in what I can actually do for that. Okay, let's see what else. Wait, I just got here late. Can you do like a super fast recap? You're gonna have to watch it from the beginning. Don't worry, it'll be up, because I don't have a 25-minute recap ability and I don't even remember everything I talked about. But basically, if you're just tuning in, we're hanging out, I'm making Kongs, and we're talking about dogs. So, and we're talking about being able to generalize behavior and management versus training. So if you guys have things to talk about or you want to talk about, I will selectively pick something that I can talk about partially intelligently while doing something else. Let's see what else. No, gross. Let's see. Glad you're able to find blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're talking to each other. Great. Advice for bonding with and training an adolescent dog that is new to you and your home. Yeah, I have a real decent amount of experience with this, because when you train guide dogs, oh my gosh, my sleep is rolling down. Gross. So you get dogs that are adolescents coming into the kennel, right? And also Jake, so my cow dog that's been here forever, he was 2 years old when I got him, and he'd never been in a house before, or, played with a toy or done any, things that he was going to be doing for the rest of his life. So I had to spend a decent amount of time bonding with him and also teaching them that humans aren't terrifying and that he doesn't have to pee every time he sees one or run away. So I have a decent amount of experience with this. And the first thing is to lower your expectations. So when we're talking about bonding with any dog, like, we should be asking nothing of them first and seeing who they are and giving them time to decompress. So if you're getting an adolescent dog, and I don't know what situation you're getting them out of, but any dog who's going to change their lifestyle needs time to be able to decompress. That doesn't mean like let them just run the house and do anything. Like, we want to set up management strategies so that we and the dog can exist happily together, right? But we also want to be like, okay, let's go out on a walk and see on this walk what interests you. I'm going to give you a long line, and what types of things interest you? What types of food interest you? I'm going to play some games. What kind of toys interest you? So we want to look at, like, what is the dog naturally interested in, and how can I play with the dog, interact with the dog in the way that the dog likes, all of that stuff. And we're going to do that for a little while, because we want to give them time to adjust before we have any, expectations. And then the next thing that I start working on with a dog is just offered eye contact. Anytime you look at me, you're going to get rewarded for it. I want the dog to want to engage with me. And how do I do that? Well, I take the things that they enjoy already and I say, hey, I'm going to hang out with you. You can do whatever you want. I don't care what you do. But anytime that you engage with me, I'm going to click, I'm going to toss a cookie your way. And that starts to build just like a relationship where the dog's like, cool things happen when I look at this human that I don't know that well yet. But I think that's kind of the place to start, giving them grace, giving them time, lowering expectations. That's the same thing with a puppy, right? Like, so when you get a new puppy, yeah, you're going to see on my channel that I do a lot of training with little dogs, because I find little dogs, baby dogs, just absolutely fascinating and so fun to work with. And you're going to see that they can do, 20 behaviors by the time they're 12 weeks old. I used to run a program that I would get dogs in at 8 or 9 weeks. And in 4 weeks, they had to sit down, stand, stay, come, go to place, go to crate, all of that good stuff, because that was the expectation of the program. And so I can teach all that stuff relatively quickly just because I've done it so many times. That's not your goal when you get a dog, right? Because what I'm actually working on is building up a positive relationship with that dog and building up their desire to learn and do fun stuff with me. So all of that is done through games. And the humans part of the equation, we have this idea that, like, well, there's obedience, and then there's tricks, and then there's tasks, and all of these things are different things, and we approach them differently. But we don't. They're all the same. The dog doesn't know the difference between a trick and a task or obedience. So if we approach all of them as a trick and a fun thing we're teaching our dog, it's really hard to screw it up, you know, and it also puts us in a better mindset that isn't like, oh my God, I have to get this dog to lay down or else my whole world is going to be ruined by 12 weeks old. That's just not the case. If I'm having, you know, I had someone recently on Patreon, and I 100% get the reason that you asked this question, which is, you know, okay, I have this puppy, what should I train first? But like in a lot of things with dog training, it's so hard to say what you train first, because ultimately I'm going to look at that dog and say, okay, what is this dog naturally excelling at? And how can I build on that so that they want to learn, they feel successful? And then I'm going to save some of the stuff they don't have a natural propensity for until they're a little bit older, until they have some skills under their belt, and until they have a successful, happy, excited history of working with me, so that they have all the good feels about working with me. So anyway, I think that was kind of a rant. I'll look at your questions again. Hold on. Let's see. Advice for bonding. Okay, we got that. Let's see. Advice for teaching dogs not to sniff while working. This is another answer people hate, but I don't focus as much on teaching not to sniff as focus on the behavior that I want them to do. So if the behavior I want them to do is to walk nicely with me, I don't require their head up or anything like that for heeling, I'm going to mark and reinforce quite a bit for that. Now, that may mean that your dog is not ready to be out in public doing things where they're not able to sniff for quite a long time, because you need to build up a history of reinforcement. I also, do I need this? Yes. And I want to do this one too. I also need to spend some time, I'll train my dog to sniff on cue. So go sniff as a cue can be really helpful, so that they know when is appropriate to sniff and when is not appropriate to sniff. But usually by the time I'm going to places where I don't want my dog sniffing, I have a really solid heel behavior that I like. And the other part of that too is, how long are we asking these dogs to do the thing? It is unreasonable to ask a puppy to not sniff in a store for more than like 2 minutes. Like, you have to be constantly, unless you have a puppy that naturally doesn't like explore their environment, but like most puppies explore their environment. So I'm gonna like go in for 2 minutes, be working them the entire time, and then I'm gonna go out. And then maybe I might go in, let them settle in one spot where they're less likely to sniff. I might put a mat down to help myself out with that, and then work them for 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna leave. So I'm building up these trips that don't involve sniffing if that is my goal. And then I wear different equipment for when the dog is able to sniff. Now, I generally don't teach the dogs like to sniff, and I know that's like, some people like to teach dogs to sniff in stores that are allowed. I generally don't do that too often. I might do more games where I'm tossing food on the floor, or if I have a dog that's having a particular issue with the thing, you know, I'll do a lot of shaping to go up to that thing. But from a pretty young age, I'm working on handler focus when I'm in a store. Okay, how do I stop my service dog from barking at other dogs? Sometimes he ignores them and sometimes he barks. Tell if he reacts. I use R plus praise and treats. Yeah. Check out my engage disengage video. The engage disengage video is pretty much my primary way that I teach dogs. Anytime that you see a dog. So when I start training this, the dogs are pretty young, and it's literally, I walk down a path, and did I just pick another one of these up? See, I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. Okay. So anytime we see a dog, I literally just feed them. It's that simple. Dog sees other dog, I feed dog. I do that for a really long period of time, and then I'll move to a game like the engage disengage game, and basically I'm just patterning that when you see a dog or a bike or a person, you should look at me, because there's a history of really good things happening when that happens. And it works surprisingly well for such a simple technique. It does require you to bring a lot of food and feed your dog, but that's also why most of the time I don't feed out of bowls, because I gotta use that food for training. Do you have a favorite place that you take a service dog in training for a more difficult public access outing? Yeah, so a couple different places. Airport would be one of them. That's definitely difficult. People ask about my airport videos all the time. So I don't know how it is where you live, but in our airport, the baggage check, you don't have to, and I don't think most airports, once you get to the baggage check, you don't have to, you can come in from the outside, you don't have to get any pre-check, anything like that. So you can just go in and train there. The zoo is a really challenging one, so that's a fun one, or the aquarium. I went to this zoo, I wish I remembered what town it was in, but it was totally free to the public. It was a great place to train dogs. Public transport is another one that's challenging. If you don't do a lot of city work can be really challenging for a dog. Working on a farm, so going specifically to work around different smells is another good one. And then outdoor concerts in the summer can be a really great one. So that's another fun one to do. Ooh, let's do a little. I think I got enough meat for like one more little one. So yeah, those would be some of them. Let's see what else. A session on key service dog management issues like management, transport, distractions at the gym, pool when in physio. Are you asking, I'm not sure, Maureen, if you're asking me to do a session on that, or if you are saying those places are a good place to practice more difficult stuff. Because definitely, yeah, the first time I went to physical therapy with Whip, I definitely had to do a little bit of management with her because everyone is like throwing balls and like doing fun stuff all around her. So I had to find the right spot for her to be able to be successful when I first started. Advice on what to look for in a good trainer. I'm actually going to be doing a video on that. I think it's scheduled for next month, so I'm going to hold that one. Hey, Aiden. Nice to see you. Took my SD for a walk, and a dog was close to us. He didn't react, and I praised him, but he saw a dog across the street, and he tried to react. Yeah, I mean, dogs have, like, some dogs, like, just don't like certain other breeds of dog, the look of the dog. They can sense things that we can't sense. Like, Jake does not like poodles at all. Like, he's not a barker, and that dog sometimes, if he sees a poodle, do I want this one? Am I gonna have room for this one? No. If he sees a poodle, he, like, will bark in the car at it. And this is a dog, like, I can't get him to bark while Whip is barking at the window or whatever. He just stands and stares at stuff. So, some dogs just have either a history with certain dogs or don't like the look. Like, a lot of dogs, like, okay, here's a good one. You know how huskies tend to have, like, intense eyes, or, for instance, my dog, right? So you see Cool Whip, she's got black around her eyes and then these, like, very strong yellow eyes. So what does that mean? That's a weird look for a dog, and that can get certain dogs, like, it can make them weirded out, be more reactive, that kind of thing. So there's certain types of dog. Also, a lot of times the dogs that are across the street are having bad body language, right? So, like, they're posturing and your dog is like, I don't love that. So they might, be more reactive to that. All right, hold on. I'm going to throw this meat out, and then I will read some more questions, and then I'm going to head out so I can put these in the freezer. So one moment. All right. Take my gloves off because they're also gross. Okay. All right. Let's see. I love this topic. Great points. Awesome. First advice for first consults for baby trainers. So for new trainers, yeah, I would love to do a series just on dog training businesses in general. I just don't know that it would get that many views. But I've started 3 dog training businesses in one program in my lifetime because I've moved a couple of times. And I also have a degree in business and entrepreneurship and a master's degree in nonprofit management. So I have a little bit of experience with business stuff. So I would love to do something like that if that interests people in the future. But as far as first timers, you want to really vet the clients that you're taking. So I got a good example of me not vetting a client I was taking. So I worked at Fidelco Guide Dog Foundation. I was an apprentice. About 3 years in, I started taking on clients. And I was known for German Shepherds because I trained a lot of German Shepherds. So, you know, everyone would call me with their German Shepherds. And when you get called about a German Shepherd, it's because they bit someone or they're chasing the children. Or they're reactive. That's pretty much it. So basically, I went to this consult. Now, they did not give me all of the relevant information. And basically, short end of the story, I got bit in the butt. And I'm lucky that it was my butt and not something else. It was the only time I've ever been bit when I was out working with a client, and it was 100% my fault for not vetting the dog further and the people further, and for not requiring that they put a muzzle on the dog while I was there, and for not using better management skills. But that's what happens when you're a baby. No, that's not what happens. I don't want to scare you. Sometimes you will take a client in that is over your head. And it's really important that you try to set yourself up for success and not do stupid things like that, like I did when I was a baby trainer. But I learned a really valuable lesson and I never did it again. So you want to take on your young puppies where you can set people up for success. You also, another place, so when you're thinking about being a baby trainer, in a classroom environment where you can be an assistant is the best starting situation, because the more dogs that you can see, the better. The more dogs you get your hands on, the better. So starting out in a did I say apprentice? I meant assistant, whatever. In an assistant position is a really good idea to start. And then I would run basic classes. Now classes, that can be tough if you don't have good classroom management skills. So learning about classroom management is really important. But like teaching a tricks class, I really like teaching tricks classes because again, people are there for fun. So it's a good starter thing. Hey, and if you all could do me a favor and press that thumbs up button if you're hanging out right now, that helps other people find this and that would really help me out. Anytime you're watching my videos and you want to do something totally for free, that really helps out. Press the thumbs up button and comment on the video or share it with a friend. Those things are so helpful. Okay, so recommendations for downtime activities. I'm assuming for dogs and not you, because I'm gonna go to Paris in my downtime. So downtime activities for your dog. I love, if you have a yard, I will just throw their entire meal into the yard and let them sniff it out. I love that. You know, like making the Kongs, like I said, maybe I'll turn you this way and I can start putting stuff on top of my Kongs. Let's see. Cool. Does that work? Yeah. Except where did I put the bag of stuff? Here it is. Okay. Yeah, and just teaching your dog to settle, and like, you might have certain rooms of the house that you like never want to let your dog play in because that's not a room for playing. That is instead a room for relaxing. I use tethers and tie downs. It's something that is underused in the pet industry and well used if you train service dogs. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Can I show? Can you show what you're putting the stuffed Kongs into? How do you keep the stuff from falling out? So this is, sorry for you, those of you who didn't join right away. It's just a box. It's a Tupperware box. Though if I'm like, the other thing you can do is if you're not making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, somewhere around 20 Kongs. You can put them in coffee mugs and then freeze them in the coffee mug, and then it won't get your freezer gross. I have a this is like so extra, but I have a dedicated dog freezer, and I also purchased a dedicated dog fridge freezer for teaching dogs to retrieve meds and stuff out of the fridge. So I have both, but you don't, like, I certainly didn't have both of those things in the last houses I was at. So yeah, freezing them in coffee mugs, but I just like to batch everything because then well, I was standing there. Then I only have to do it like once a week or whatever for the dogs. Okay, hopefully that answered that question. This video called The Best Fix for Reactive Dogs. Yes, the best fix for reactive dogs. Yeah, that's the engage disengage game one. Yep. We're going to Mystic Aquarium next week with my trainer. Yay! Fun. I love Mystic. Great place to work a dog. Just be conscious of the animals. Like whenever you're going to a zoo or an aquarium, we want to make sure we're not stressing the animals that live there out, even if you may technically be allowed there. You know, you want to give them space to, if they look stressed, back your service dog away and go look at something else. But most of the time in the aquariums, they're more interested. I don't take one-on-one clients. I did, but I don't even have time to do everything that I need to do for myself right now. I can't throw raw food around. I use veggies for low value things. So is there anything that you can cook? Like, so can you just use boiled chicken? I feel like that probably wouldn't ruin your raw feeding to like be able to just use some boiled chicken or some boiled hamburger or something like that. Okay, all right, I'm gonna kind of go down here. I love the way you just chat and spontaneously answers questions. Oh yeah. I don't have a prepared function. That's not true. I have to work hard to prepare for things. So, you know, just saying things off the top of my head definitely won't get me in trouble someday. All right, let's see what else. How do you start scent training for my deers? I'm not a scent trainer. I do not give recommendations on that. Not all dog trainer or service dog trainers train everything, and scent is something I know about, but it's not something that I train. So you're gonna want to find a specialist in that. I believe Delta Tails does that. At what point is your animal considered a service dog? That would be under the 80, well, whatever the FHA. I don't know off the top of my head FHA's wording for that because housing is covered under the FHA. Oh my God, I missed a bunch of them. This is stressful. Okay, hold on. I can't do all the things and look at it and read from there. Oh, hey, Jamie. Nice to see you. Topple Mountain, yes. Hi from Utah. Service dog is 8 years old. And he's getting excited. Doesn't get excited to go to work. How do you know when the dog is ready to retire? Yeah, that's a tough one. I should probably do a whole video on that one. But if they're getting less excited, it's time to start looking for your next dog, I would say. All right. Oh, let's see. Okay. My face is really close. I'm sorry, guys. I can't read this. They're so small. Dang, that's a lot of dog food. Oh yeah, that's only 2 of my 2-pound containers. I buy about 10 5-pound containers at a time usually. Oh, hey Valerie. I hope you're still on. Alternative recall method for a non-verbal person. Yeah. So depending on what your disability, but I teach a tone recall. I've written the script for that. I said I was going to do it 4 years ago and I never did. So Whip could use a brush up on her tone recall. So I think I'm going to do a video on that. Whistle and then hand signal. Dogs are very focused on visuals. So I do all of my recall, or most of my recalls include a touch. So a hand touch would be how I do that. How to better deal with dog owners. Some of that requires practice, and that can involve literally you going out with someone and you're having that person role play in a non-difficult environment, and then like in like a Walmart or whatever, asking you questions, being annoying, and you working on your responses to those things. It is hard to deal with other people. And sometimes the right answer is, hey, I'm so sorry, I can't, I'm really focused on training my dog right now. I'm going to have to, let you go or whatever. Okay, I'm running out of brain power now, so I'm going to read the last couple and then get out of here. I took my service dog to the zoo and a cheetah chased us. We ran past the monkeys and they screamed at us, and then the wolves tried to chase us. So it sounds like you probably needed to have your service dog way farther away from those animals, and that's why some zoos don't allow animals. I try to, if I'm going to go to a big cat or a monkey, make sure my service dog is below the eye line. So a lot of time there's a window and then like a blocked part, and that's where I'm going to station my service dog so that the animals aren't stressed. Let's see, if you drill a 1/3 centimeter hole at the inch from the main hole to prevent the suction. Are you talking about the Kong? I haven't had that issue with my dog, so. Should a working dog bark at other dogs? Not a service dog. No. They're not ready yet if they're consistently barking at other dogs. If they barked one time and you got it under control, that's allowed under the ADA. But if you're worried about your dog barking at other dogs, it's probably not ready to be a fully fledged service dog yet. Leash reactivity, I say a lot that service dogs shouldn't be a project to start. So if your dog is already displaying a significant amount of leash reactivity, that's probably generally not the right dog. That doesn't mean that it can't get better. But one of the things that you have to worry about is, okay, you have this history of being nervous around other dogs because your dog has barked at other dogs. And even if you can help resolve the dog's issue about barking with other dogs, we need to know the underlying reason that the dog is barking at other dogs. Like, are they afraid of other dogs? In which case they shouldn't be a service dog, because we don't want dogs that are afraid being service dogs. But also, you as the handler are now for the rest of that dog's life going to be looking out for other dogs. And does that help you as a disabled handler? I can't answer that question. That's reactivity you definitely want to go to a trainer for. But all else equal, we don't want to start with a dog who's reactive, because then you're starting a very difficult journey. But again, it matters why the dog's reactive. There's so much more that goes into that. I can't really answer that question on here. Clapping is a great nonverbal recall. Nice job. Okay. Super. My service dog puppy sleeps on certain surfaces. Wait, you don't want them sleeping? This sounds like a good plan, to have them sleeping on certain circumstances. Yeah, I'm not sure the answer to that question. I want my dog to be able to sleep on all surfaces, so sleeping on some to start with is a good start for me, but I might not understand what you're saying there. Okay, my brain is super fried. All of this multitasking is harder than I expected, but hopefully this was fun for all of you, and I really, really appreciate you joining and hanging out. And again, if you can hit that like button, it helps me out a lot, and share some of the videos with your friends. All right, there's not going to be any video this Friday because I will be away, but there will be one returning next Friday. So have a good one, everyone. Happy training. Don't know how to turn this off. Literally have no idea. Oh my God. Maybe I just X out. Have a good one. Oh, your service dog slips on certain surfaces. Get boots. Traction boots. Nonstop dog wear has some good traction boots that are not super expensive.